Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Nerds in Action Camp podcast. On this episode, we're going to talk about They Cloned Tyrone. The movie is on Netflix. You can go and watch it today if you have a subscription. I know they went up and everything, and they're talking about doing ads and stuff like that. But hey, man, they dropped the gem with this. There's a lot of things that talk about the culture and different things that we kind of overlook when it comes to like the world we live in, and then it's kind of giving you like an out of the box type of touch. It almost reminds me with this out of the box type of thing with like Get Out with Jordan Peele. It kind of reminds me of that, but it focuses more on the government and less so on classism with the elites and stuff like that also play a role in controlling society and all the different things that affect the black community and keeps us in a situation where we're in these messed up conditions. Not all of us, but like, in most hoods and stuff like that, you're being these conditions, and it's like, why is it like this? Why aren't we getting the stuff that we need? So we're gonna talk about like all the symbolism and everything that's in it. So let's get into it and let's see what drove this to be created. So as you can see, They Cloned Tyrone is out on Netflix. It is featuring Jamie Foxx, John Boyega as I think they call him Fontaine, and then the twist at the end. If you haven't seen the movie, you're going into spoilers. So 1, 2, 3. He is Tyrone basically. So at the end, if you already seen the movie, he is the guy who, was in the song or whatever at the end. And then basically they're saying that they're going to go on this adventure, because I'm pretty sure they're going to do more of these, to free all of the clones, which is also symbolism to slavery in a way as well, where they're going to go and figure out the slaves. So that's basically what's going to be happening going forward with the Clone Tyrone, and it's probably going to get crazier because the guy at the end said there were more bases, so that means there's more things going on, and they're going to have to figure it out. But in this one, it was kind of crazy because, like, you seeing all this stuff happen, but you realizing that it's all orchestrated, it's all something that was created, man-made, and it was done in a way to make sure that black and brown people can't move up in the world, and basically to, what I'm saying, like, the guy that created all this mess, that created all the clones and all this different stuff, he was basically just reacting from trauma, and projecting it on the other people, and it turned into a big old mess. Plus, you gave the government some more tools that they really didn't need to mess us up in society, and it just went left. So, and then we got Tanya Paris as Yo-Yo. She's supposed to be in Captain Marvel, not Captain Marvel, but that other movie, The Marvels. I'm sorry, The Marvels. I did a review on The Marvels. As far as like the trailers and everything, you can check that out on my YouTube and Fanbase Plus. When I covered it, I was basically covering the fact that like this trailer is giving these different kinds of vibes, and then what's going on with the movie and all of this and that and the third. But the trailer looks better with the last one they had, but I think it's going to be your typical Marvel movie, and it's going to be a phase 5 level Marvel movie, which is not good because during that time they were having issues during the pandemic, so a lot of stuff was rushed. As you can see now, all the writers and actors on strike. I think that was already going on before it even got to the point of a strike, because the writing in all of these Marvel movies and all of these Marvel shows is garbage. But let's go back. Okay, and so yeah, we got him, and then we have some notable actors like David Allen Greer, as the preacher. You know, he's played in a lot of different movies and stuff like that. So, you know, he's dope. And I think he was even in Blank Man. I could be wrong, but let me click on him real quick and see. Yes, he was in Blank Man. So to all my superhero people out there, like I said, like they had a good all-star cast, in my opinion. Then you got the guy from P Valley. You know, he was in here. And I know a lot of y'all are probably like, okay, that's a controversial show with a lot of controversial stuff on it. I mean, I get it. But hey, he did his thing in this movie as playing one of the gangsters that was in here. Jamie Foxx as Slick Charles, he was the pimp. So, you know, he he was being kind of silly, but he played a good job with it, though. I ain't gonna lie, he did a good job with that. And some of the other people in here didn't really have any big notable things or whatever. But, you know, here's the cast if you want to see who's in the movie, if you have any kind of, you know, relationship with the characters or actors or whatever, if you like them. And the guy that played, let's see, hold on. Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland. He played like the man, basically. But he wasn't like the man, if you know, because we all know what the man is. Like, it's basically the guy that does all of the stuff to communities. You know, the basically is like the Illuminati or something like that. The leader of the Illuminati, basically. If you believe in that stuff, but. Then we have a 94% Rotten Tomatoes score. Let's click on that real quick and see what that looks like. So, audience's score gave it 100 and Rotten Tomato gave it 94. So this is a pretty balanced Rotten Tomatoes score. I do not like covering Rotten Tomatoes when their scores are unbalanced. Basically means that the critiquers don't match up with general audiences and what people think in general. And what I mean by that is, it's not so much that they don't agree with you, like the audience or whatever, is that they're looking at it so critically, right, that they can't even enjoy the film. Now, to me, that might not matter to most critiquers because, like I said, they may have like a grading scale from like A to B. And then that's kind of like how they want to grade everything. And then you get that number and it might be low. I get it. Like cinematography, the acting, writing, all that stuff matter. I understand. But then you got to factor in, like, did you enjoy it? And I don't think a lot of them do factor that in. Did they enjoy it? Yes, they might have saw all of the things that deals with the art. But art is very subjective. So rating art really harshly doesn't really file for me. But like I said, when it's like this and they actually looked at the nuances, they actually looked at the cinematography, the acting, the different things that they did in this movie that were different and it worked, it's like, okay, cool, you know. But if they weren't looking at any of that or went over their head because they just was like, oh, I just don't enjoy this film, it's just not for me, and but I did like this and that, but no, I'm still gonna rate it low because they should have did better with the CGI or something like that, or they should have did better with writing the romance. I mean, I understand, I mean, I get it, but so I mean, this is good. You know, it's been a minute since we had a black film that actually went into a Jordan Peele level event. So I'm happy that we getting this, because I don't think that last movie resonated too much with that last Jordan Peele movie. But this one definitely did, and it's on Netflix. And I actually think this should have went to theaters, because I would have paid to see money to watch this. It's just that for me personally, I didn't really see nothing that made me want to go watch this on Netflix. Now, if this had been marketed to me as like going to theaters to watch it, and then the reviews and all the stuff would have came back to me, I would have went to theaters to go and watch it, because I would have been like, oh shoot, this is what is that. But because it was on Netflix, it's like it just feels like another Netflix and chill movie, and that's how Netflix feels when you go and you watch movies on there. For me personally, I just don't really vibe with that. It's the feel and the way you market something that makes me want to go and do stuff. So the release date of this movie was on July 21st, so it's been out for a couple weeks now, and you can go and check that out on Netflix. So now I'm going to talk about the article. They Cloned Tyrone. It's going to talk about the producer over there, because like I said, this movie made you think on like a different kind of level, you know what I'm saying? So like if you've seen any Jordan Peele movies, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's look at the article. They Cloned Tyrone exclusive producer Stephen Dr. Love talks creating an instant classic, Hollywood's black film renaissance that David Alan Grier seen, and more. The best version of They Cloned Tyrone producers Stephen Dr. Love. It's all started at Starbucks, where They Cloned Tyrone director co-writer Jeul Taylor shared a tenfold coded idea with Stephen Love that would evolve into a cultural obsession trending on the world's biggest streaming platform. In that moment, Love, who would break into Hollywood as a producer, planted the seed to a black film renaissance that boomed with critically acclaimed blaxploitation sci-fi comedy They Cloned Tyrone. And here's the cover of They Cloned Tyrone. And like I said, this is a sci-fi thriller. It could have been horror if they had some other stuff in there, but yeah, it was a sci-fi thriller, black sci-fi thriller. A Morehouse man with humble beginnings in Bennettsville, South Carolina. There's a lot of Carolina people that make films and that are in that neck of the woods. So it's kind of weird that I'm noticing that now. And I think they had like a school, I think in like North Carolina or something like that. All of them basically went to school at or something. Stephanie made a series of powerful moves, including landing A-listers Jamie Foxx, John Boyega, Tanya Paris in buzzy film about the uncovering of government conspiracies in urban cities that sparked a bidding war between major studios. And this is something that's been talked about a lot in the black community. Government conspiracies that keep us where we are. The music, the chicken, the every fucking thing, the damn, I'm sorry I'm cussing y'all, but everything you can think of, basically, that's what they've been talking about. So in a culture shifting move, Love partnered with macro and multi-platform media company representing the voice and perspectives of black people and persons of color that allowed him to maintain creative control. He eventually sold the film to Netflix. With a hit movie and big names like Kerry Washington attached to upcoming projects, Love and his production company Made with Love Media rocketed into mainstream Hollywood while paving the way for unique films from gifted black filmmakers in the near future. Rick caught up with the creative dynamo who opened up about They Cloned Tyrone, Hollywood's black film renaissance. His biggest Morehouse lesson that David Alan Grier seen, and more in our interview you can enjoy below. Let's see. The legend starts as Starbucks takes me through the process of getting Jamie Foxx, John Boyega, and Tiana Paris 3 stars in this film. Yes, man, when Jeul first told me about this, which was fall 2017, we had like the log line and whatnot, a couple of sentences about it. We definitely were not thinking about this big budget version with Jamie Foxx, John Boyega, and Tiana Paris. That's not where our head was. We were all right. This will be your first movie as a director that's trying to make it really modestly, that kind of thing. But man, it grew over the years because of the three actors. Tiana was first in the sense that she auditioned for it and she was up against tough competition. There was pretty much every African American actress between ages of 22 to 35 that you can imagine who came to read it, and it was very, very clear that the unequivocal winner of the process was Tiana Paris at the end of that. When she walked out, we were like, that's her. We were literally jumping up and down in that room like, that's Yo-Yo. And this was before she had Marvel Joint coming out and had WandaVision coming out. But she had already shot Candyman, so the timing was perfect because the movie came out and she already was on her way to being a household name. That happened first, and after we sold the movie to Netflix, Boyega came into play, and obviously everybody knew him from Star Wars, etc. And he was trying to figure out what his next big thing was going to be, and was being very strategic and intentional about choosing something that's meaningful. He raised his hand, and we were like, okay, yes. And then Jamie Foxx, it was ongoing, like, that's a dream, that's a dream. And then Jamie raised his hand and was like, look, I'm going to come and do this. He didn't balk one time at the idea of the first director. He loved the script, he loved the idea of the movie, and he loved what we all represented, being young and black. At the time that we sold this movie, I was 29 and Joe was like 31, 32. So we're these young cats, and Jamie was like, I want to support this. I really believe in this. And so he came on and produced with us, to him and his partner, Tafari. So it's been a blessing, but three people and their involvement is what allowed us to making this bigger version of that. I think ultimately it was the right version. So that was the interview with the, I guess you say, the producer or writer. And yeah, I mean, makes sense. What's up, Donnell? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Swift?
Hey, just reading these articles and everything on they Cloned Tyrone movie.
Oh, okay.
So now I'm gonna read 19 things you should have noticed when you were watching They Cloned Tyrone. So, They Cloned Tyrone was a masterclass on social issues, but I bet these 19 things went over your head. So let's continue. So number one, if you've never seen or heard of Hollow Man, this reference probably went over your head. Bacon played a scientist that found a way to make matter invisible after years of experiments. That is why it fits for the club scene where Nixon used experimental science as an excuse for cloning and controlling residents in their hood. Now, I've never seen Hollow Man, or if I did, it's been a while and I don't remember. But that's kind of creepy. Now,
Yeah, Hollow Man had Kevin Bacon in it.
oh, okay. How
Yeah,
did
it
I
was kind of
miss
like
that?
the remake of The Invisible Man.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it came out, damn, 90s, I think came out. Yeah, I think it was the 80s that came out. Or the early 2000s. I could check the date for you.
Okay. Okay. So it came out in 2000. I need to look that up once I'm done here. Let's see. Number 2. Now, I could be making something out of nothing, but there was a tiny message behind these losing scratch-off cards. Fontaine scratched off a part of the card in different directions every time he got one, but still lost. This is saying no matter where you start, it's not time for you to win. You simply won't. I guess you could say that's a thing. I don't like the lottery. I always thought that was a crappy thing in the black community. Like my granddaddy been playing that junk for years, and I'm just like, bruh, if you ain't win when you was, I don't know, in your teens, because you know they was getting into that stuff early on, then you ain't gonna win when you 100 years old. It's just not gonna happen. Just let it go. You
The
giving them all
lottery
your
is
money.
random. Yeah,
Yeah.
the lottery is random. So I look at it this way. It's a lot of people in the hood. If you go, you'll see them. They spend their checks on scratch offs, and that's constant. No matter what city, what state you go to the hood, stand at a bodega, little convenience store. You gonna always see a bunch of black people walking out with scratch offs, and it's just what they do. And so Fontaine getting the scratch offs constantly, even though he was making money the way he's making money, he still was trying to play the lottery. Make that make sense.
And not only did he have that, he done went and bought some pack of Swisher Sweets to go roll up his weed. Like I was like, come on, man. It's like even that is problematic in itself. But you know, if you're from the community, you know. And so let's see, number 3, the subliminal mention. Oh, the subtle mention of gentrification. In this scene, Nixon is saying that it's easier to control people with less. If residents in the Glen had their own resources, it would be easy to persuade them that they need powerful people. Huh. It wouldn't
Well,
be
if you think
easy.
about it,
Okay.
every community wants leadership, and even people with money always look towards leadership. So in a way, he's right.
Yeah, I mean, let me read what he said. He said, if we were to pull y'all off the street, there'd be th- there would be Starbucks here by Tuesday, and those that go are and there goes our control setting. So basically, what he's saying is, if people with money and resources and I guess you could say a better connection with power, then they won't be able to go in there and just put whatever they want in the neighborhood. They won't be able to basically take advantage of it.
Exactly. I can give you a good example. Harlem, when Bill Clinton moved to Harlem to open up one of his offices. As soon as they found out Bill Clinton was coming to Harlem, guess what else came to Harlem? Starbucks and everything else. So they was able to regentrify portions of Harlem just that
Wow.
fast. Yeah. So it's not untimely. I mean, any city you go to, again, with black communities, if you see, white people moving into those communities and buying the old condemned houses and stuff like that, starting to rehabilitate those houses, either the state has an empowerment zone to give them money to do that, or, once they do that, guess what? The property taxes go up. Those people who can't afford those property taxes wind up getting stuck and wind up having to sell their property, or the city takes it. So basically, you can't control a neighborhood that has money, because money can get power, so to speak.
Makes sense. Crazy thing is, this is happening pretty much everywhere, and it's people that look like us that's gentrificating us. So it's like you got black people with money coming in making stuff high, and then everybody around them that don't got no money that's black is having to move out as well. And then with that going on, then like people with aren't black or brown come in and they like, oh, okay, it's a nice neighborhood. It's high. It's no ignorant people here no more. We gonna move in, and then it just turns into this like crazy mesh up where eventually it will start to get lighter over time, you know. And a lot of people don't see that how that happens because they just look at it like, oh, this is a nice house, you know what I'm saying? And if I could go over there and stuff, I can really do something. But it's like, okay, if even if you go over there with your money, you still gonna exacerbate the problem, right? You know, make stuff cost too much for the people that used to live there. Now, beforehand, I would say maybe like before, or maybe like, yeah, before the early 2000s, I would say gentrification was mostly, uh, non-melanated people. But now gentrification has spread beyond just that. It's like there's black people with money out here now, and they're doing it as well, and don't even realize that they're doing it with their dollars. But it happens, and they love some Starbucks. My wife can't wait to get some. I'm like, you know what that represent? But anyway.
Yeah, it's true. So if you find a Starbucks, you'll find gentrification.
Yep, you're gonna find it. So let's see. Number 4, fast food has a chokehold on poor communities. The powder is in the chicken. That's what it says as far as the line that was said by Jamie Foxx, because he was tweaking off the chicken. Easily accessible, highly advertised, and cheap. And they cloned Tyrone. The chicken had flour or some white powdery substance that made those who consumed it laugh. In real life, fast food is unhealthy and addicting, but in many cases, that's all some people can afford. You're more likely to spend money on quick, cheap food than expensive groceries. So this really had me kind of like feeling like, dang man, whoever wrote this had to be inspired by Jordan Peele or like something, because the fact that they got so deep into this government conspiracy stuff where they talking about the fast food industry, I was like, bruh. And the fact that everybody addicted to it, laughing and giggling like ain't nothing going on. Meanwhile, you messing up your body with all that grease you put in your stomach and stuff. It was wild. Like they really was thinking, like, what if this could be, and then they actually turned it into something that actually could be a real thing. We just don't know.
But I mean, if you look at food deserts in the black community to begin with, anyway, that represents a problem because most of those food deserts are filled with fast food restaurants. And that's the quickest way that a family can get a meal. Because if their local bodega or convenience stores don't sell actual fresh fruit or groceries, and they don't have a grocery store within a certain radius that's not in a bus route, if you don't have transportation, then basically that's what you're stuck to the, confines of. But even so, if you think about something that I tell people all the time, why does water cost more than soda? That's something people never think about.
Mm-mm.
Right. Then, water is water, but water costs more than soda. Soda has chemicals, sugar, and all this other stuff in it. And if you think about the aluminum for the cans and all this stuff like that, the plastic for the bottles, it costs more to make soda than it does to make the bottled drinking water. But drinking water costs more than soda because water is healthier for you than all the carbonated stuff.
That makes sense. And then, I mean, even in the grocery stores, it's kind of like the polar opposite. Like, you'll go in there and you'll find soda costs more than the water. And it's like, okay, I see what's going on here.
Exactly.
They penalize you for trying to get something that's unhealthy in the grocery store. But fast food, they like, you want some what? Some water? Yeah, I need $3. $3? The meal already 10. You want me to pay $13 to get just to have some water? Okay. But I do it anyway. I still pay for that water. I don't care. Like if I know I had too much soda or if I had too much or anything, or really, it's crazy because like I can't even really drink like regular soda. I would have to basically get like a diet soda if I really want to not absorb all those extra carbs and sugar and stuff like that. So
Even the diet sodas are not good for you because of the chemicals, aspartame, and all the stuff like that that's in those diet sodas. So you can't even be healthy with that stuff either.
nah, only thing you can do is just go cold turkey and cut it out. That's usually what I do. I'll get soda for like a couple of weeks or so here and there with a meal, and then after that I go cold turkey for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I get a craving again, and then I'll go back and get some or whatever. Same thing with fast food. It's the same thing. Like I'll get a craving for a while, and then it'll just disappear after I've gotten my fill. But I really, really be trying not to, because like you always end up in these situations where like you doing some work or some business or something, and then somebody be like, "Man, we ain't got time to go back to the house." You like what? Dang! Now I'm finna have to eat this crack. They be like, "All right, so what drug dealer we going to today? We going to Zaxby's? We going to Chick-fil-A? You know what I'm saying? Where we finna go and get this work from?" I'm like, "Oh my god." Then you eat
But
it, and
it's
then
not, with the fast food, it's just not the black community anymore. It's
yeah,
spread like wildfire. I mean, I'm a child of the '70s, and fast food to us was a treat. Like I
wow,
remember growing up, we got McDonald's 3 times a year. The last day of school, in the summertime, if we went to see like a blockbuster movie, or they used to have the Lego figures, and not Lego, but Duplo, the Indian, the cowboy, and all that stuff like that. The Happy Meal we used to go get those. We always collected those, so my mother made sure we got those, and then we always got them for our birthday. So that was 3 times a year that we got McDonald's.
dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, because my mom always cooked this stuff. Now, if you look at it, McDonald's, people get McDonald's for their kids before they even cook a meal.
I just seen that this past weekend, man. Like,
Right. They
and I ate some too. I was like, no.
Yeah, so it's bananas how the dynamic of that whole situation has changed. I mean, even Burger King back in the day was known as an expensive restaurant. Like, Burger King wasn't, it was cheap, but it wasn't cheap, you know?
Yeah. I mean, but my whole thing was they changed some things, I guess, to make it more accessible
Well,
because
it grew into the communities. I mean, okay, for example, when I lived in Newark, Newark is it's mixed. It's pretty much mixed. You got black, white, Italian, Portuguese, Polish. It was a dynamic of some everything, but it was separated. It was actually segregated by the sections of the city you lived in. But all the fast food restaurants were located in the same spot. They wasn't checkered throughout the community. Now, fast forward to today's market, you have fast food restaurants checkered throughout communities, whether they're suburban, inner city, or country. They're just there now because it gives that people convenience. But in the poor neighborhoods, you have the fast food restaurants, but you don't have the grocery stores. Whereas you, in a suburban neighborhood, you can go to the grocery store right next to a fast food restaurant. But if you have the money and you want your kids to eat healthy, you have options. In a lot of poor communities, they don't, because it's like, okay, let me go get this dollar value, the dollar menu meal, because it ain't nowhere else to go get nothing to eat.
got you. Get what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I was also thinking about some other things too that's been going on for a while because this food thing has been an issue for a while. Like, and I noticed that the way we preserve our food now has changed and also caused issues because they did the studies and all the stuff like live on like social media and everything. You can leave like a McDonald's French fry underneath your seat, and 3 years later, that motherfucker's still there.
Right.
that causes high blood pressure and all these other things. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people don't pay attention to all of that shit. You know what I'm saying when it comes to food, and it's like really y'all. So now it's like okay, we know that they're doing stuff to make stuff last longer than it needs to because I mean we got a bigger population, but it's just the way things that work here, they don't work like that in other countries though. Like in Europe, I heard, and like Japan and all that, their stuff is different. And I'm like, what are they doing that's different? They using a different kind of meat or something?
No, even in Canada, they get different stuff than we do.
And that's yeah, and I'm like the conspiracy is like they're literally trying to kill us through the food. Like literally. They're like, it's too many of y'all, we're gonna kill you through the food. But then at the same time you wanna repeal back uh abortion rights and all this other stuff because you want to make people have more babies, but then on one end you trying to kill us with fast food. Which one is it? You can't make babies if you ain't healthy. So I don't know, but I
Bottom
think
line,
deeper.
everything is about capitalism and money.
Yeah.
Because if you look at everyone's situation, as far as like every time something is done, it's lobbyists. The companies hire lobbyists. They write this stuff in the legislation, and they get to pretty much do what they want to do. They pretty much write their own information. And so, since poor people don't have lobbyists and we don't have honest politicians, this is what we wind up with. Stuff like they can put certain chemicals in food, or we can go up to a certain chemical amount that's dangerous, but if we give you this much, it's not as dangerous because you're not going to consume it every day. And that's how we wind up with some of the stuff we do in our products.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, hopefully we can work past that because I know food is the biggest issue in the black community next to finances is food. And then if we get the finances right and then we can get the food right, then a lot of people will be better off in the long run and healthier, you know what I'm saying? Let's see. So that was number
I mean,
4.
go ahead. I'll leave with this and then we can move on to the next one. A good example is ketchup, right?
Yeah.
Ketchup is just supposed to be tomato paste, salt, and, a seasoning or two. If you read the back of a ketchup bottle here, it's going to be way different from ketchup bottles around the world.
Oh wow. I didn't even think about it. That's my favorite. I'm addicted to ketchup. I gotta have it on the potato. I don't know why, but every time I eat a potato, I gotta have something on it. Let's see. Number 5. Music can control human emotions. Now, let me see. That's somewhat true. You'll eventually feel sad if you listen to a sad song repeatedly. In the movie, the subjects were under surveillance and their mood changed when they heard specific genres. So, we've all had this conversation in the black community about the music, about how it's over time has started to turn into fast food. It's kind of ironic we just talked about fast food. It also has gotten a little bit more aggressive, a lot more sexually, and in some cases, it's making people feel like it's okay to be a low functioning member of society that likes to sell or do drugs or beat on people and stuff like that, and basically destroy your community and stuff like that. Now, I know for me, I used to make hip hop music. I always try to stay kind of like in the middle. I would never make anything that's talking about destroying the black community. You'll never hear me talking about robbing, stealing, or killing from nobody. If I did say anything like that in my music, it was more so in self defense. And if I'm talking about having fun, I might have talked about drugs here and there, but it was in a fun way, not in a way where you need to do these drugs because, you know, it's gonna get you high to the moon and then you can just sleep with any woman you want. No, it wasn't nothing like that. It was more so like on a cool kind of wave or whatever. But even that's bad. And so I got out of music a long time ago because I realized what it does and what it's been doing to us over time. And I ain't gonna lie, like for some people, that stuff affects people differently. Now, there was music, like I said, before it got to this point that actually made us feel good and empowered, you know. So, you had a lot of songs during the civil rights movement that made us feel a sense of unity, you know what I'm saying? It made us feel a sense of loving our fellow black people because we were all basically trauma bonded and we were sticking together and stuff. So the music was centered around all of that and what was going on during those times. And then, even moving forward, when things got to be a little bit more sexual, it wasn't to the point where you're blankly becoming a porn artist. So I think the music stuff needs to change a little bit. I mean, the thing for me is relatability. I think is the way for music. I think if they could focus on that, because this all got to do with like writing the lyrics and stuff, not so much the beats and everything, but most of writing the lyrics. It has to have relatability. If the song doesn't have any relatability to me and my life and what I got going on and how I'm feeling, I'm just not gonna listen to it. And then let's see. Here we got number 6, the hip hop to violence pipeline. We've all heard that hip hop convinces people, especially in poor communities, to partake in violent activities. And this scene shows two men fighting when they listen to the lyrics of a rap song due to the mind controlling powers over the clones. Does softer music equal happy humans? When they hear the mellow, loving words of R&B music, they stop fighting and hug each other because there are no hardcore lyrics to trigger violence and angry emotions. So, like I just said, like that is true, and then also relatability. If the song is not relatable, I'm tuning it out because there's nothing relatable to me about drugs, beat somebody behind, or sleeping with all these different women that ain't my wife, and none of that turns me on and makes me want to get, dance and have fun. Like when I was younger, I was kind of blind to mind control because I was young. I was kind of living that lifestyle, kind of wasn't. But as you get older and you start realizing, once your neurons start to really mature and everything, that wait a minute, this stuff, these waves that are coming in me are causing me to feel in a way I shouldn't feel. Or it's just not giving me any substance. Like when I listen to a good song that's relatable, I feel full. I'm not looking for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next song and the next song. Like, because it's oversaturation nowadays. So like everybody wants to be an artist, You got so many different options. And really you don't have all these different options. That's all smoke and mirrors. There's only so many people who are going to be legends. Only so many people who are going to make real hits, like I said, that make you feel full, right? I ain't calling no artist names out. I ain't trying to stop nobody from getting a bag. All I ask is that these artists make relatable music. Talk about how you helped your brother. Talk about how to get a 720 or 800 credit score. Talk about you defending your family and your community, not you robbing, stealing, and killing in your community. That's the difference. Like if I'm gonna talk about killing somebody, it's gonna be because they did something to me, and that goes to another thing. If I'm gonna talk about beating somebody up, the Alabama River Brawl, that is a prime example of a relatable song. If somebody makes a song about it, right, and puts that out, that's relatable. That's something that actually shows violence when it's needed, not irrational or mindless violence. It's not showing that, right? Because that wasn't mindless violence on our end. That was on the other side, or whoever started the dang fight. That's on them. They got to deal with the consequences of what they started, and that's what that was. That's something that if you put in a song, that would resonate with me or whatever, and I'll listen to that song because it's relatable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would have fought too. Hell, if you look at my latest TikTok or Fanbase reel or flicks or whatever, you'll see, all of that. In my Boondocks episode or whatever, I kind of get into some of that, but yeah. So the next thing would be number 7, the hood can indeed come together. Don't want to be good to me. The song Don't Want to Be Good to Me, Baby. Violence and rival groups within the same community divide neighborhoods, but there's always been a sense that they could come together to go against outsiders trying to tear apart what they call home. In this film, the hood only won when they all came together. So this has been something that's been talked about for years. We all do need to come together and fight. Fight financially, politically, spiritually, like on all levels. We need to be out here fighting or whatever together and sticking together regardless of what's going on. And once we start doing that like we did in Alabama, this stuff will make a lot more sense. Like all this stuff will make a lot more sense. You're like, well, hold on. My wife or my woman, even though she might yell at me, that doesn't mean she doesn't love me. I still need to protect her, and I still need to protect whoever, and we can communicate and come to a agreement, compromise if we are having issues. And when it comes to your brother across the street, the guy that you don't like that because he been on some bull crap or whatever, it doesn't mean you have to hate him to the point of where you don't want to do business with him. He may be good at something. You just have to work with people with their strengths. Working with people's strengths is how you get to this right here. You know what I'm saying? Where we could find a common denominator or something that we both can benefit from the other person. And then, or we just let it all go and then we find a common goal and we just work on that common goal. That works as well too. Here's the perm plague. Okay. Now, this one right here really hit home because black women have always been told our natural hair is unprofessional. Perms and relaxers will always advertise as the best way to get that slick and perfect straight hair. Just another form of mind control. Now, there are things that are going on currently, like legal stuff going on because these perm and creams and all this stuff were causing cancer currently, and not just any kind of cancer, the kind of cancer that affects your fertility as a woman or even as a man, because you can still get cancer through hair care products, and these are known to cause that 100% cause issues with fibroids and all that other stuff. So women, black women specifically, should not be messing around with any relaxers, period, point blank. There's no reason why you need to straighten your hair. Now, you see this right here on top of my head? This is natural hair, okay? I ain't did nothing to it this morning or whatever, but I'm a natural hair advocate. So anybody who is thinking about growing their hair out, thinking about getting froze, curly froze, twists, braids, dreads, I don't care what it is. if it grows out of your hair naturally, that's your natural look. And you should be proud of it, and you should love it, and you should accept it, because at the end of the day, God didn't make no mistakes if you believe in God. And, I'm always going to be the type of person that you come up to if you say something stupid like, hey, I need you to cut your hair off. I done dealt with all of that type of adversity where people wanted me to cut my hair and get the wave cut. And what I mean by that, because this to me is considered bald, even though most people wouldn't consider this being bald. But I'm going to show you what this is. And once you wake up and realize what's been going on, how people have been trying to control us through our hair and making us feel like we're less than, like, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. And mind you, you can get this cut if you want to, but for me and what I'm representing, I will never do this. And at this current point in time, I'm not getting no wave cut. And I've done it before in the past, but at the end of the day, this was a form of control. They was like, oh, I want you to basically cut all your hair off. And they didn't want to see dreads. They didn't want to see froze. They didn't want to see all of that, because that makes white people feel very uncomfortable. And it is what it is. It's not me trying to be funny or anything. It looks clean. There's nothing wrong with it. But this will be considered bald to me, because this is the kind of hair that, naturally grows out of my head. This is what naturally grows out of my head, just like this. And if you compare this to another race of people, this is the length of hair that they have, but it's not kinky. And so for years, we've been sitting here, doing this right here. And really, we could have been doing this right here naturally, and it's nothing wrong with it. It was always something wrong with it when we were growing up as kids, like our moms and parents and all. Oh, that looks so cute. Your son is bald. Yeah, that's cute. All right. Your son is bald. And then if you keep cutting your hair that dang low for so long and wearing hats and stuff like that, it'll pull your hair out too. And over time, you'll have thinning in your head. But that's another conversation for another day. Like I said, I don't care if you have, this look right here. I don't care if you have that. I mean, kudos to you. But at the end of the day, this right here is where I feel like your ass is bald. And then you do have actual bald guys who actually have bald heads. But hey, that's just how I feel about that. So don't come to me messing with me when I'm trying to basically take care of my actual head. And I can have hair on my head at different lengths, right? This is just like this right here. This is just like a medium length. This ain't even a long, super long length or nothing like that. But like, yeah. And another style guys would do is the braids with the fade. This is something that's in that natural hair realm where you can both mix having a faded haircut with having some hair on your head. Now, I'm also going to show you some hairstyles that you would look at and be like, dang, bro, like really, that's how you feel? Now, I'm gonna use Justin Bieber as an example, right? Let me use this one right here. So for him or whatever, this is a length of hair. Now most like people who are white are gonna have hair on their head. This is what I mean by that. No one is gonna go up to him and say, hey, I need you to cut your head and make it bald into a wave cut. Nobody's going to tell him to do that. So we got to unlearn this crap that we've been taught as kids. And even more so in religious groups like the Nation of Islam and all of that stuff, to basically hate yourself and shave all your hair off. And or black women getting those damn relaxers in their head and then getting cancer. And getting cancer in the fertility areas and stuff. No. So we have to push against that. And I'm an advocate for it. I'm always going to be an advocate for people for natural hair. I don't care what style it is. Some styles may be a little bit too extreme for me, but that's okay. I'm still going to support them either way and move on from there. So let's move on past this perm thing because it really triggers me. And let's get to number 9. Slick Charles consumed the powdery substance twice before the restaurant scene. When the crew sneaks into the world underground, they find powdery substances, boxes of groceries like grape juice, cereal. That substance was in everything, especially the chicken. Before they obtained that information, Slick Charles could be seen consuming the food, and he threw an empty bottle of grape juice when Fontaine revisited him. So that's, to me, that's an addiction to sugar, which causes diabetes and stuff. And then sending the cereal, sending the juice, pretty much anything that has any kind of sugary substance. That's what that reminds me of. And I've been through that where I had like pre-diabetes, and you just gotta make sure you count your carbs and stay away from all that processed sugar. Number 10, there was a civil war in the neighborhood. So who needs a war when there's civil war? The rival gangs in the Glen, the drug dealers and more, there was a war going on right there in the neighborhood. And the line is a country constantly at war with itself. And it ain't just gangs and that stuff. It's also culture wars, race wars that also go on as well, that feed into our hoods and stuff being messed up and not being able to get past certain issues. Anything more is likely to get funding faster in schools and poor communities. I'm using my gas money to pay for school supplies from my classroom. So that is a thing. Caption, this scene briefly refers to how teachers have to use their own money, which is not much to begin with, to ensure that students learn. However, there was money to invest in mind controlling technology. So yes, that is a thing where all the money and funds get allocated towards things that don't help the community. In this case, the schools. A lot of that got to do with voting and political infrastructure and power. We have to be a part of it. We have to vote. We have to do these different things in order for us to get what we need to keep a stable community and grow our community and have our community thrive.
Houston, Texas is a primary example of that. You heard about what they're doing there, right?
Yeah, I heard about that in Florida, what they was doing there too.
No, not Florida. I'm talking about Houston, Texas. They're removing the libraries from public schools to put in detention centers. So they're pretty much trying to prep you for prison before you even get out of school.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, and a lot of parents don't look at it that way. They're not, I've seen a few that were upset about it, but to me, everyone that has a child in a school that they're removing a library from should be outraged. They should be flooding City Hall right now with that. Because basically, they're letting you know up front, we're prepping your kids for prison because we don't think they should get an education. And like many people will tell you, the public libraries or the school libraries were a lot of places where a lot of people and kids learned a lot of different things. To me, I learned about astronomy in the school library. And sometimes I just didn't like going to lunch, so we went down there and we just read books on astronomy. And that gave me, an understanding of how the universe works, stars, planets, nebulas, clusters, and all that stuff like that. And if it wasn't for the library at the school, I wouldn't have learned half that stuff. It was just, that was my place to go to and hang out when I didn't want to go to the lunchroom. And so now you're taking that element from all these kids, even kids that just want to read books, kids that want to learn about other things other than sports, or, they don't, it's just basically you're removing a fantastic resource to tell kids they're not good enough for, and to tell them we're setting you up for prisons.
Yep, that's what they doing. all across the board. It's sad seeing that these kids are basically going to have to be self-taught, and most of these parents don't even have the capacity. In some cases, it's not even a time. Well, in most cases, not even a time, because they didn't messed up the family unit where you got the ladies working just as much as the men are, and it's like, who gonna teach the kids? I mean, the schools ain't doing it because they getting attacked on the political end, and then you know everybody wants to scream independence, but I'm like, it take a village to raise kids though. So who gonna raise the kids? You know, I mean, you could try to put them off on grandma and stuff like that, or aunties or whatever, but I mean, does everybody have that same situation? And that's not the case. And so then those kids turn to crime, they turn into other stuff, or the internet teaching them, which really ain't good either, because you gotta have somebody there to tell them what's real and what ain't. So let's see,
That's why I had to tell one of my nephews, stop looking up certain things on the internet, because I said, you're going to find something on there that's going to scare you and traumatize you for the rest of your life.
Oh yeah. It ain't hard either. I just see some stuff with me not even trying to look for it. I was looking for something else, and then I was like, is that a man with female body parts? I was like, oh heck no, let me turn this off. I couldn't turn my phone off fast enough, man, on my computer back then. You know, when all this stuff started happening, like in the 2000s and stuff, where like the internet started to get a little bit more like accessible and stuff. I was like surfing the web, and I was like, what the heck? And now you got it in your phone. I mean, in your pocket now.
Exactly. A lot of people don't even look at it that way either. You know, you got a whole world in your pocket, and most people don't even know how to use it.
Well, that's like something I'm going to heavily focus on when it comes to teaching my kids and other people's kids, because I see it all the time. They'll come in my studio that I'm in right now and be like, oh man, this is so cool, and oh, where you get this from and how much that costs? And I'm like, bro, if I could just tell your little butt like even a fraction of what I had to go through to get this, and then what I have to do to get information, what I had to do to learn how to find this information, you would be like, what, for real? But then for somebody like us, we could just tell them straight to the point without all that, and we already did the work, and now you can get past all of that crap. But you know, and then you got
Exactly.
you know a lot of black folks that just feel like they just don't have to teach these other kids how to get what you got. It's like 18, get out my house. What? Like, no, I still need to learn how to pay a bill. I still need to learn how to finance. I need to learn how to, you know, drive a car. You know, just because I got my license at 18 or 19 doesn't mean that I know how to drive on highways like that for real. It took a minute for me to really learn that shit and get good at it. I think I was 23 or 22 or 23 by the time I got good at driving. And 25, 26 when I actually was like a pro driver where I was doing Uber and stuff like that. But man, I used to be scared on the highway and ain't had nobody there because they was like, well, you grown now. You got it. I'm like, teach me, you know. But that's the thing. We gotta teach each other, even if we don't feel like, even if we feel like the parents should.
Very true.
Now, number 12 says the bad guys using religion as a form of control. Using the heart of the community to control its residents also happens often. Churches often are heart of many communities, especially poverty-filled ones. When I realized that the church was man-made and not only just man-made, that it was created as a form of control to keep people from thinking, from doing right, and from acting on what they need to act on. I was like, this is crazy. This is crazy. And the only reason why I was able to even get through that is because I went to college and I became a free thinker or whatever once they unlocked that part of my brain where I could think for myself and analyze things. And I was like, this is all cap. This is like basically a damn scheme or something to keep y'all where y'all at. Because all these people out here saying, well, God's going to forgive me for my sins, but yet you keep sinning and doing the same thing. How does that change the behavior, and how does that change the issue that you have going on in your life? What you really need to be doing is understanding why you do what you do, forgiving those people, and coming up with the tools you need to manage your aggression. I mean, not your aggression, your manage your mental state. And actually doing the work on the things that you have been putting off that's been causing your life to be a living hell. Like learning how to make a resume, learning how to do a job interview, learning how to treat your significant other. Like these are just basic things and tools that can help you not be so, I guess you could say, impoverished spiritually, and then on the other end financially. And that was what the church or what community was supposed to build. But churches aren't doing that because they so fixated on keeping people's mind, brainwashed and everything. And if you've noticed, the pastor these days, I ain't talking about before, but the pastor these days then turned more into a pimp than an actual religious leader. Because ain't really no men going to church. There's a reason for that. And a lot of women going in there searching for something that they was missing, which was their fathers and father figure or whatever. And so they looking to the pastor to give them that. But all he there is to just keep you where you at and keep collecting your dollars. Because he gets paid off of your pain and misery. And if you never have any pain and misery, how's he going to make his money? It's sad I had to explain it that way, but
yeah, I know I got a different take on it. But I mean, if you look at the economic impact the church has on the black community of removing money from the black community, and most don't even invest back in the black community. You have a few, but when they do invest, it's always stipulations of, oh, you got to be a member of this church, you got to be this, you got to be that, instead of looking at it as a whole, build a community back up that you're taking from. And so that control remains in place to where you're going to do what we say when we want you to say. You don't do it in order for you to get something out of it. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like I totally agree. And it, like I said, it's just so sad because like people really be like hitting me up saying, "Oh, you should go to church," and "Oh, you should do this," but I'm like, I already see through the bull crap. I see what they doing, and I can praise Jesus and God at my house and save money for a church that isn't investing back. Like how you riding in a Mercedes and I'm riding in a beat up, I don't know, station wagon or something. Like it just don't make sense. And then it's not like they're preaching entrepreneurship and it's not like they're hosting seminars on how to build yourself up in the financial space, and then they try to turn around and say money is the devil, but then turn around and take my money. It don't work like that. It's contradictory. Like all of it's contradictory, and then you don't have to pay no taxes either. Get out my face.
Money is not the root of evil. Money just shows people who they really are. Same way alcohol does. Like you got your happy drunks, your miserable drunks, your drunks that want to fight. Money does the same thing. If you never had money and you always perpetrated something, when that money hits your account, you're going to still be that same person if you were not perpetrating. And when you do get money, if you were an asshole to begin with, it's just going to make you a bigger asshole, so to speak.
Right. Makes sense. That makes perfect sense. And let's see, number 12, the bad guy using religion as a form of control. Wait, hold on, we just talked about that. Number 13, the movie on the TV in this scene is Bloodsport. The movie on the TV is 1988 American martial arts film called Bloodsport. It's about a martial artist that left the army to compete in a martial arts tournament where death can occur. It symbolizes fighting for your beliefs no matter who your challenger is, in case the challengers were the people in power. Okay, that's cool. Bloodsport is one of my favorite movies. Mortal Kombat was based off of that. The character Johnny Cage is based off of Jean-Claude Van Damme. I think he may be a skin in Mortal Kombat 1. I think they said they did it finally. But yeah, I'm gonna get a PS5 soon. I've already sold my PS4. I'm just waiting on my brother to come pick it up. And I hope I have some money left over to get it, because I do want to be on top of that in that Spider-Man game when that comes out, because you know, I did the interview with
Where did PS5 come out of Bloodsport, dude? You never seen Bloodsport before?
Huh? Yeah, I seen Bloodsport.
I was gonna say that's when the world was introduced to Jean-Claude Van Damme. When he got in that ring and he went and did that split on the ropes, everyone's like, oh.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat is based off him. Ed Boon said he wanted to make a game about that after seeing that movie.
Yeah. So, yeah, Bloodsport was one of those old classics.
That and that, what's that Bruce Lee movie called?
Into the Dragon?
Into the Dragon, like when that black dude got killed. Yeah.
Yeah.
He based all that on Mortal Kombat. So that's one of my little segue with gaming and stuff.
Okay, cool.
Let's see. Number 14. Fontaine is a clone but isn't affected when he says Olympian black. When Nixon said Olympian black, a few scenes prior, Fontaine and Slick Charles had no control over the bodies. However, Fontaine used the exact words to get the clone to kill the older version of himself, who isn't a clone, and he wasn't affected this time. Fontaine, I don't know about that one. I think it's, if you saying it, I don't think it would matter, but if they said it to you, it will stop you, I think.
Yeah, in a sense. But it's kind of like if what I'm hearing is correct, I might be wrong, but it's just like when people go to talk to kids about stopping what they're doing and getting out the streets and stuff, they don't want to listen to people who never was in the streets. And so since Fontaine was a clone and he knew the other guy was a clone, they could relate to each other. That's why they killed the old boy, because they knew he wasn't a clone. And it's just like when you get the guys who got out of prison, who turned their lives around and who went and did stuff, it's easier for them to get the young kids that's in the streets to relate to them, because they're pretty much a clone too.
Oh, see? I see what you did there. And that's what this movie is supposed to do. It's supposed to make you think outside the box and, you know, really look at what's going on in the black community. But yeah, that is exactly what it is. Okay, let's see. 15, the girl highlighted in various missing persons flyers throughout the movie was reunited with her family. So, let's see. I Can Feel Beautiful. Whole lot of game-ish. Many flyers are seen throughout the movie, but one was highlighted the most. Aaliyah Jackson, she could be seen with her eyes wide open as the mind controllers tried to convince her about beauty standards. The character was missing, held captive by the bad guys, and freed at the end of the movie with the rest of the people. Now we do see those missing signs like all through the hood, And it's just like, if they ain't came back within the past couple of days, I mean, they either one dead, been kidnapped, or moved and didn't say where they went.
Exactly. Well, that's just how it is. And it also highlights how we have a large problem in the black community with a lot of young ladies missing. And it goes unnoticed by the national media as well.
Yeah, it do.
Until the one that just said that she saw the baby, and now it's just like, wow, really?
Yep. That don't make no sense to me, man. Cause like they was just having a conversation yesterday on Fanbase talking about black women need to be protected, and then they just gave Tory Lanez 10 years or whatever, and I was like, I get it. He was wrong because he had the firearm in vicinity of the situation, so he should be charged for whatever happens with that weapon. But then on the flip end, did he actually shoot her? No. But he still got to be charged either way. And that's the thing people got to understand. Like, yeah, you might feel like he ain't guilty of the thing that is the headliner or the main charge that they tried to get him with. But that doesn't take away the fact that a black woman was in jeopardy. Actually, two of them in this case, but one of them got hurt. And that wouldn't have never happened had that man not have done what he did.
And again, like I said yesterday when we had this conversation about that gun being unregistered was his downfall.
Yep. That was the downfall right there. You gotta make sure your paperwork is done and ready, and if you can't, whoever is near you need to have that stuff done. Can't be moving out here shaky. It just don't work. Especially when you're a celebrity, man. It's crazy. And like I said, black women need to be protected. If a woman is in trouble, you see her, just like in Alabama with that fight, we need to be out there on site. Like, hey, leave her alone. Now, I know they say be careful because they could be in a relationship and they'll turn around and beat your ass because you're getting in the middle of their argument or whatever. I get it. But what I'm saying is, like, she got black eyes, or she, like, legit trying to escape. That's different. Then you should jump in. But yeah, if you see somebody like literally pulling a lady out her car or whatever, like, yeah, you need to do something. You saying, oh yeah, did you see how that black Escalade kept sliding through and snatching people up?
No, I haven't seen that video yet.
No, it's in the movie.
Oh yeah.
That's a prime example of what I'm talking about. Like, we'll be in the hood just chilling, and then that Escalade or whatever that could have like a big time drug dealer, a gangster, or somebody who literally is sex trafficking or whatever, just pulls up, grab them, and we don't say nothing. Like, oh, I don't know what's going on over there. It ain't got nothing to do with me. That ain't got nothing to do with me. It could be your sister next.
Yeah, but that's the average response. And I was having a conversation with my sister-in-law about snitching and stuff. And my thing is, I never understood that concept of not telling who killed somebody in a neighborhood, because it's like, okay, you're going to let a killer walk around your neighborhood. If he was a serial killer, you would say something. But because he shot somebody, it's okay to let him continue to walk around the hood. That makes no sense, because guess what? He's going to shoot somebody else.
Yeah, he is.
Because at this point, he's emboldened. And by being emboldened, that means he feels that he can do whatever he wants to do.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
And so you're pretty much putting your children and your in-law, well, not besides in-law, family members in danger, because you choose to just let something slide, which to me is crazy. So,
yeah, that's
never understood that.
I don't understand how people can do that. Like, it's too much going on in the world to just assume that everything is all rainbows and flowers when stuff going down in your neighborhood. You see something, say something, and do something. That's how I look at it now. And I don't know, like my instincts have finally tapped in to where I'm like so overly like defensive now. I'm like, I don't want nothing to happen to my wife, and I dang sure don't want nothing to happen to, you know, anybody I love in general, like my son, none of that. Like somebody call me and say something going on, I'm like, what they at? We finna pull up. Cause we just gotta have that kind of energy nowadays.
Yeah, that's understandable, but I still just look at a lot of stuff like, oh, excuse me, sorry about that. Oh, goodness. Just it amazes me. And but one thing that I did learn, and it took me a while to figure it out, you can't teach people what they don't know.
That's true.
And if people are so used to living a certain lifestyle and in a way, and they don't change, or no one tries to help them change, how can you fault them for what they do?
Right.
And a good comparison to that is, believe it or not, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. If you look at Will Smith's character, how he came from the hood to a rich place, and you look at Carlton's character, Carlton looked at life totally different from Will Smith because he had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And you look at what Will Smith went from to, you know, going to the rich, you know, life. It was just like he had so many doors and so many worlds open up to him. It was just like, oh, wow, I can do this now. I can do this now. I can do this, to where he never thought he could do certain things. And that shows you that if that person that's living in the hood is never introduced to anything outside of the hood, not just on TV, I'm talking about in real life, where they actually can physically go see these things. They can physically go do these things. And someone is actually showing them, hey, there's a better life than just doing this, and invest in them as a person. It could change a lot of things.
Hey, you're right. You're right. Cause hell, I wouldn't even be where I'm at. I'm from Detroit, man. Like crack houses, the abandoned crack houses. Uh, shit, people getting shot on every different street or whatever for whatever that's going on. And I'm a little kid. I'm kind of like benign to it because they ain't trying to rob and do nothing to me, but they did something to my cousin though. You know what I'm saying? And he was a contributing member to the hood or whatever. He, you know, bought black, shot black, everything black. But then, like you said, like he went on and went and experienced life outside of that, and it was like, you know, he left and then come back. You know, you end up driving them people away after they experience something better. But then you got some that come back. But, you know, most people, when they see that there's more to life outside of just these streets, they tend to do better, and they tend to have a better appreciation for, um, you know, everything around them, like the world and life and stuff. They have a better appreciation for it because they know, like, hey, there's other stuff out here I can experience, not just robbing, stealing, killing, and being abused and used and stuff.
Exactly. It is, but like I say, it's a lot of things that people got to learn and unlearn. But it's hard to unlearn something that you've known all your life if you never get opportunities to do those things.
Yeah.
So in the poor communities, those clones are going to keep being made. It's the same way if you look at the suburbs. The suburbs got clones too. And people never think of that. You do realize that, don't you?
I wouldn't know. Ain't nobody made a movie about it. Maybe that should be next.
About the suburbs. If you ever notice, everybody has to have the same type of car. Everybody got to have the same type of yard. They got to make sure the ornaments in their yard match. You know, the neighborhood is always monkey see, monkey do in the suburbs, so to speak. Jim gets a job at Pepsi, so Bob got to go try to get a job at Pepsi, or Jim is a manager here, and so Bob has to be a manager here. Oh, we're going on vacation in Italy. Oh, we got to go on vacation in Italy. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
So it's clones in the suburbs as well. So, somebody might come out with a comedy too called They Clone Phil.
I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a version that's from the suburbs or something. That'd be funny. Kind of like how they did those scary movies and stuff. Well, nah. I mean, they could literally just do their own because this movie kind of pulled from a lot of those different type of movies before it. The way they did it.
I mean, if you look at the decade of the 80s when they had all the preppy movies, all those kids came from the suburbs. And they were just alike.
Yeah. It was brainwashing, I guess.
Well, think about it. If you've ever seen Pretty in Pink, for example?
No, I don't think I've seen that.
Okay. And Pretty in Pink, is Molly Ringwald. They have a scene where they have a school dance, and everybody's separated by the groups they hang with. You had the golf kids, not golf kids. You had the nerds, you had the preppies, and you just had everybody in their little groups. And if you look at the hood, you have the same thing. You got your gangbangers, you got your kids, that want to succeed, so they hang out together. You got your nerds that hang out together. Then you got, the people who like sports hang out together. People who like comics and stuff hang out together. So you still have those cliques. So those clones are in actual both neighborhoods, but we don't look at it that way because of financials.
Yeah, it makes sense. That makes total sense.
The only difference is in the suburbs, you're taught to not destroy your neighborhood. You're taught to maintenance and take care of your neighborhood. Whereas in the hood, people just throw stuff down on the ground because, I don't own this property, I don't live here. They don't care.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Dang, man, that's crazy.
You never thought of it that way, have you?
No, I did, because I was thinking of like, there are some similarities in most communities, neighborhoods, or whatever, where you have like your certain kind of guy, and each kind of guy came from a certain part of the neighborhood. Now then you had
Right.
these outliers in the neighborhood, which would have been like me, or like my dad, or somebody who didn't really fit in any one group, because I really can just move around any group, like any type of person, because I'm good with my mouthpiece. I know how to talk to people, but everybody can't do that, and they end up with their people, basically, within the community though. So, and he did tell me, like, back in the day, like in the hood they had like the street dude, they had the preppy guys. They used to dress up and stuff. You had your jocks, nerds, and geeks, and all that. And then you had your people who just were struggling and stuff like that. You had, a good mix of everything. And then over time, stuff got bad, because of the crack epidemic. But before then, that's kind of like what it was. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so, and even if you look at it, you got your trailer parks. A lot of people forget about those.
Man, I ain't forgot. They all around me.
Right, but one thing that, have you ever seen the TV show Reservation Dogs?
No.
It's about life on a Native American reservation. And man, if that's not like the hood, I don't know what else is. Because if you look at their lives, you look at some of the stuff they go through, it's crazy. And it's actually a good TV show. And basically, they just want to escape the reservation. Like a lot of people, black kids want to escape the hood. It's engaging, and you'll learn a lot from it.
Okay, I'm looking it up right now. It's saying it's supposed to be in teenagers in rural Oklahoma.
Yeah, but they live on a reservation, and it shows you their life and their experiences are no different from ours, but you see it through the eyes of a Native American, what they go through, and the effects of living on a reservation, i.e., living in the hood, has done to them. They have the same issues with police and all the stuff like that, so on and so forth, and just trying to make enough money to do what they're trying to do and get out.
Yeah, they go that keyword, get out. Look at Jordan Peele to start.
Exactly.
Look what he done started. Let's see. So we got number 16, the advertisement of safe science through the film. When someone has to overemphasize that something is safe, you start to judge whether it's really safe. Many advertisements and posters were shown throughout the movie, like the one above, saying, "Working together makes us all stronger. Human betterment through safe science." What the bad guys were doing clearly wasn't safe science, but in their minds it fits within their mission to create unity. Yeah. I never be going for that stuff. People say something safe, you end up like them people in that submarine that blew up. I'm good.
Well, they knew that wasn't safe. There's certain things you can look at and you can tell, like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
But one thing I tell people to always do is research on your own. Like, it's hard to say, like, okay, this is a prime example, the COVID vaccine, because you know how a lot of people felt about that situation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I heard people say the COVID vaccine is not safe for various reasons, but then turn around and when they got gas station dick pills. Like, it don't make any sense. But then you get weed from a person that you don't even know.
Oh my God.
You popping pills, you popping mollies, and look what's in a molly. Like,
yeah, it's contradictory as hell.
Yeah. I'm sitting up here looking at this stuff like, okay, are you serious? Then you chunking hot dogs and Slim Jims and the stuff that's in those, and you like, yeah, but you're sipping on a diet soda that got aspartame in it, which causes cancer, and you telling somebody a vaccine ain't safe. I'm like, okay. But, you know, it is what it is. But it's a lot of contradictory stuff when it comes to safe stuff. But common sense will save you from a lot of BS as well. So
yeah, you're right. You're right about that. It's funny you said that because, like, there's always that person that's saying something ain't safe, and then they have no research or nothing to back up their claims, but they still claim, no, what I'm saying is real. I'm like, no, bro, no, stop it. You don't even live that stuff.
Right, that's your opinion. That's not a fact.
And then, did you actually do the research and talk to a scientist that created the vaccine? Because my cousin created the vaccine. He works on that type of stuff. He's, I guess you could say, a geneticist or something like that, or something that's dealing with, like, viruses and stuff like that. So, he working in the lab. I know if he's saying it, it's legit. Because they the motherfuckers who creating the vaccines.
Well, he's an epidemiologist if he works with diseases and stuff like that.
So I'm like,
I'm just gonna give you that word. Give you that word for your vocabulary.
I couldn't think of the word, but yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I used to ask people, like, before I would even say anything or get into debate with somebody. I'm just like, do you know what the study of disease is called? If you can't answer that question, I'm not gonna waste my time debating you on viruses and stuff. You can't even understand, if you don't even know what field of science it is. Like, that's just me wasting my time.
Yeah, and then that goes into this stuff that plays a role in this movie, like all these conspiracies that we think is with the government. Sometimes they don't actually be conspiracies. Sometimes there's actually contracted people who are just like us, civilians, that make stuff that the government uses. You know, the corporate monster actually plays a more role in America than the government does. So
actually, yeah, because Big Brother, like, Perfect example of what you just said. Everybody's always talking about, the government listening in on your conversations, government doing this, government. I'm like, Facebook is listening to your conversations. Twitter's listening to your conversations. Apple's listening to your conversations. The government is not doing all that.
Right.
Because when you pick up your phone and you just talked about going to buy some popcorn and Orville Redenbacher's in your phone, and everybody else, Jolly Time and all these other popcorn brands pop up in your phone. That's not the government doing that. That's a corporation.
Exactly. Hell, the vaccines were made by a corporation.
Right.
And then some people did acknowledge the fact that it was made by a corporation, so there could be some loopholes that were done or some things that were done to tamper with it to help them do what they want to do, the corporation. But I'm like, why would they do that?
Well, they did get loopholes just to keep people from suing. That is a fact, though. But also, you have to look at it this way. Everything that everybody complained about was the same thing when 1917 flu, Spanish flu.
Uh-huh.
So it was the same exact thing. People said it was overreaching with the masks. They had to wear masks back then. You had people who didn't want to do it. They quarantined back then. You had people who didn't want to do it. And the cities who did quarantines, if you look at the maps right now and see what cities did quarantines, you see less people died in those cities. It was the same way back then in 1917. The cities that had quarantines, less people died. The ones that did not, more people died.
Makes sense.
And that's, I tell people, if the government, we are a resource to the government. Why? Because we pay taxes. The government needs you as a citizen to work. So that way you can keep the government fueled and funded. Why are they going to hurt all their cattle to not be able to get resources from their cows, so to speak? They got to keep you working and keep you moving. So if they're shutting everything down, it's to keep you safe so they can keep that money coming. Because You're not good to the government dead.
Especially if you're somebody who is up the class system. If you're rich or wealthy or middle class, they dang sure don't want you dead. I don't know what those people were thinking. I was like, nah. And even lower class, like, then we get into the whole debate with essential workers and stuff. That's very important. Like, you have to have people working at your local factories, McDonald's, and all these other places that we overlook.
Right. And that's basically what people miss. It's like the government needs you. And so when everybody, the government's going to go do this, and the government's going to do this, and I'm looking at them like, nah, the government needs their tax dollars.
Yeah. It was the corporations that didn't give a damn about us. But then they had to learn through the statistics, through the fact that they couldn't get nothing done because we were dying at large rates and all these holes were filled up. But not everybody's going to work in these areas that they want to work in that was considered essential workers because they don't pay shit.
Well, yeah. But then, like I tell my daughter, I don't mean this any harm to anybody listening that work at any of these jobs. It may not be you. Sometimes when you go to these fast food restaurants and you put your order in, and they can't even get your order right, you can't sit there and tell me you need $20 an hour, and you can't follow simple instructions.
Dang.
Me and my daughter laugh at this all the time, and it's like, and that's why they work in the fast food restaurant. And it's not to bash people working at fast food restaurants, but some people at fast food restaurants, again, keyword is some. They just can't get it right.
Yeah.
So you can't expect to make $20, $25 an hour at a fast food restaurant when someone says no lettuce on a sandwich and you still put lettuce on a sandwich.
I mean, that's more of a quality issue with like what kind of people they hiring, right?
Well, yeah, but they still get upset that they ain't making $20, $30 an hour.
Right, but I'm saying if they pay more, they will get better quality candidates. Cause like if they said, "Hey, we paying $25," I'll quit my job. They ain't gonna work that. And they give me $40 a week. Yeah, I'll leave.
You say that now until you get some customers coming in.
Hey, that's fine. They paying me what I need. You know what I'm saying? Then eventually I'll make manager, and then I'll be running the place.
You can do that now. Hell, what does the Taco Bell managers make? I think about 65,000 a year.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, so they paying. You just got to get off that front line.
So we got number 17. The powerful people try to hide their real agendas behind fake positivity. One of the lines, and that's what we strive for, keeping the United States united. Nixon's excuse for cloning and controlling people was the mission to keep the United States united. He claimed they were striving for greatness and togetherness. Does this sound familiar? I don't know how I feel about that one. The powerful people tried to hide their real agendas behind fake positivity. And that's what we strive for, keeping the United States united. Keeping the United States united. I don't know. Because they used to say that back when, I guess, when there wasn't no Republican in office, I'll put it that way. Or when Bush was maybe in office. But when Trump hit, it wasn't none of that. It was division, 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 division. And the ramifications of what he did to divide us up is still playing a part to this day.
I don't really think he ever divided anybody. I just think he gave them a voice to say what they wanted to say out loud. The division was always there. I mean, you could look at it, because if you look at America, most of America is segregated still. North, south, east, west is segregation. So
yeah, that's true. Still
gave
try
them that vocal platform they needed. That can you hear me, Swift?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, he gave those people that vocal platform that they needed to say some of the stuff that they've been wanting to say. So it wasn't that he divided people. Some people were never together to begin with.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because, I mean, how all of a sudden you feel the way you feel out of thin air in a 4-year time period? That's impossible.
That's true. That's true. I think they always were feeling like that. They just didn't have a platform to speak on because they had 8 years of Obama. And it just wasn't the right place. But, even then they were like, oh, we're keeping the United States united. But Obama couldn't do that because, well, not him, but the regime, because people like their power, and if they feel like they losing some of their power, they're going to react violently afterwards. So things are going to get divided at that point. Even though your message is staying united, it's still going to get like overlooked because people want what they want, and they want what they want for their people.
Exactly. So Obama didn't divide America. They just didn't like him because, exactly like you say, because he was a black president. And some people just can't have a black person in leadership. It's good for you to entertain and sing and dance for him, but once you get off that court and you're in that boardroom, a lot of feelings get hurt.
Oh, yeah. You ain't lying about that. Let's see, we got number 18. In Yo-Yo's stack of Nancy Drew books, she can see one titled The Hidden Staircase. Just like the trio, Nancy had to solve a baffling mystery in the book. She finds a secret panel to an underground passage and staircase. She also discovers people are held prisoner underground, including her father. I never read that book. And if I did, I don't remember. The Nancy Drew, The Hidden Staircase. I don't think I ever read that book.
Nah, that was something like 70s and 80s type stuff. You probably would have read that.
Because I know, like, I've heard of Nancy Drew, but I was like, we only probably read, like, certain books. And I probably was, like, almost in middle school, or, like, late in elementary or something in the 90s. Let's see. Okay, and so now we to the final one, number 19. Call Tyrone more like they cloned him. Erica Badu changed her hit song lyrics up just a tad bit. Who cloned Tyrone by Erica Badu. There was no better song to fit with this film than Badu's classic hit. Instead of "I think you better call Tyrone," she says, "I think they cloned Tyrone." Oh, I'm sure.
And guess what? How many Tyrones did you know when that song came out?
I really ain't know none, to be honest with you. It's been a minute since
But you do know some Tyrones though, don't you?
I've seen some. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, she put the song out. Tyrone is a lot of individuals named Tyrone. Well, they're not named Tyrone, but Tyrone with the picture print up, but in a sense, that's the person that she was singing about. Is a lot of dudes that fit that mold.
Right. It makes sense.
And guess what? Tyrone, your friend, he gonna come get you. Even though he know you ain't shit, he's still coming to get you.
Man, they got Erica Badu to make a little switch up on the song, a little mixtapey like thing. Okay, that's lit. Cause I was like, hold on, I don't remember a song going like that. But it makes sense though. I mean that there are different. Every person might have a different name, but the same person could exist in another place in the world doing the same exact crap that the last dude did, and all of it plays a role into why certain situations and communities and stuff are the way they are. That's what I got from this film when it came to Fontaine and all his clones and stuff that were out there. Hell, even Jamie Foxx as the pimp, like that character, that person in the hood has always been around to play a certain role.
Right.
And now I feel like, after looking at some things, the game is kind of messed up though, because the pimp thing, there was some things that the pimp did that a lot of men don't really think about, and I covered that with the Boondock stuff that I did that's coming out soon, or should be out before this episode come out. So how do you feel about the movie Who Cloned Tyrone, or They Cloned Tyrone? I'm getting confused.
Oh, I think it was a good movie. I have mixed feelings about the movie, but I understand the concept and where they were going with the movie. And just looking at the premises of everything and looking at where I grew up at in my younger years until how I progressed through life, I can see every aspect of that movie. Even with the chicken, and when we had that whole Popeyes thing where people going crazy over chicken breast. I to this day, I've never had a Popeyes chicken breast.
You haven't had the Popeyes chicken sandwich?
I've never had a Popeyes chicken breast.
Look, you have to do it just for the culture and videotape it and send it to me so I can put it on my.
Nah, I'm not doing it. That's what you not following the bad habits of the culture. That's one of the bad habits I'm not gonna follow. But the whole point that everybody went nuts over a piece of chicken, and that movie just brought that back home. But yeah, other than that, it was dead on.
That's good. That's good. What would you give it as far as like a rating score from 1 to 10?
1 to 10, I give it a 9.5.
9.5. Okay. That's not bad. You got a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, even though I don't like Rotten Tomatoes, and it's 100% audience score. So okay. For me, I say I would give it. I give it a 9. I feel like the movie did a good job of telling us, I mean, reading between the lines and how there could be some type of government conspiracy and how it would make sense if it actually was a thing, and it just made sense, like how everything they did everything, and uh, I like the horror elements of it. Of oh my god, they cloned me, and not only that, they cloned basically his. I don't know if you saw it, his biracial cousins or brothers or whatever. That was supposed to be the guys behind like the store that was supposed to be representing those Indian guys and Arabs that come in there and buy up the stores and
Right.
everything. I was like, dang, bro! Like I finally figured out what they was trying to symbolize with that, and uh, you know what? I'll give it a 9.5. You know, I'll give it 9.5 too, because that right there was just crazy how they was able to do all of that stuff, and I also think it was good too because it kind of is reminiscent of what we dealing with today. It's related, very relatable, and they had a good cast, a really good cast.
Oh yeah, I watch everything from John Boyega. Ever since I watched Attack the Block, I've
Yeah,
been following him since then.
yeah, I feel you on that. It's crazy. He's been in some really good films that for the culture though, cause like he went from Star Wars was like the most non-melanated thing you can ever be in. So now he's like, nah, bro. If that junk ain't got no good script and it ain't got people that look like me, I ain't doing it. Like,
No, I feel him because I understand because to me they could have did so much with Finn and Star Wars. They just took it and made him comedy relief, which to me I cannot stand when they do black people like that in movies. Like, must we always be comedy relief?
I don't know. I mean, it was during the Trump era. Not only that, the people who were working on it at the time they didn't have a plan, and if you have all of those things going on, and then you know what I'm saying, you don't even know our culture. Like they didn't even ask us what we wanted. Like we made it very clear after all this happened. Now they know what to do, and then that's when it led up to um, the situation where the guy came back that played Jar Jar Binks. Trying to think of his name.
I know who you're talking about, but the thing about that too, we have
I'm
Mace
at
Windu.
this. Yeah.
We have Mace Windu, so come on now. You mean to tell me you couldn't come up with something better? You had Mace Windu.
But that was a different era. That wasn't a different management. That wasn't Disney. You know what I'm saying? And the crappy people they put underneath Lucasfilm when Disney bought it didn't care or give a dang about that. And you didn't have I guess is Lucasfilm was owned by Lucas or something. I don't know the guy's name. I'm messed up right now. Uh, the guy who owned it was no longer making his movies and anything. The guy who makes Star Wars or
No, that's George Lucas. You had that right.
yeah, George Lucas. So he wasn't involved in none of those sequels. So the first thing he would have said is we need some black representation and they need to be badass. That's what they did with Sam Jackson when they called him in for the prequels. It was like, you know, it's a new era. We want to tap into a different demographic and we want to, you know, have representation. So we going to put Mace Windu in there. And he was the baddest MF there is. So, you know. But then you fast forward to the Trump era and all this stuff going on and them not having nobody in that lane. They just wasn't thinking about us. They was like, no, we're going to make this the most pale and pastiest thing ever, just like it was back in the day. And that doesn't work. You can't have a Lando kind of character after you gave us Mace Windu. It don't work.
But he wasn't even on the scale of Lando.
Yeah, that's the even worse part.
I mean, it's like he got worse each movie. Like,
Right.
his character got worse and worse each movie. I understand. This is why I hated his role after, you know, the first movie. Because he started Okay, he was scared. I understood all that. He wanted to, leave, get away from the First Order, so on and so forth. And that fear because he's seen everything that they did.
Right.
Then after that point, it became like, when he picked up the lightsaber, he got, cut across the back by Kylo. It became like he got dumb after he woke up from the back to tank.
Yeah, that's what they did, and that's because the writers was like, yeah, we not gonna do nothing with him. We just gonna go ahead and write him out. We want to focus on Rey and Kylo, two white characters.
Even with Poe, the whole thing the dynamic they was trying to push with them two didn't make sense. How is this man a skilled pilot, but you got him acting like a clown?
I have no clue. That bothered a lot of people as well too. It was very, very, like across the board, just divided people up into like these different issues that they created that they didn't have to create.
Yeah, you had great characters that you could have built off of. Instead, you chose to destroy one of them. Then the other one, you just turned him into an idiot. Then her, you built her to be stronger than every Jedi that's ever been around without any training. Now, how the hell does that make any sense? I understand she's a Palpatine, but damn.
Mary Sue and they basically just didn't put any work into making her struggle and stuff like that, That's why people like Ahsoka more and everything, because you can see her ups and downs, her wins, her losses, and everything, and how she became a badass, like what she about to be in this next show that we all need to be watching, okay? And letting them know that when it comes to making black characters or even people who in costume or whatever, it doesn't matter, still black, there's a wrong and right way to write a character, and the way they wrote her doesn't even help women in general, because it's like, yeah, you made her stronger than everybody and you pushing women empowerment, but then at the same time, like, she has to go through something to feel like she's empowered, just like men have to go through something to feel empowered, like they've been through something. That wasn't there.
She didn't go through those struggles. Her training within a year to 2 years, it wasn't even 2 years, was it? The whole movie, all three movies took place in what? Like a 3-year time period or less?
4-year time period.
4-year time period. So in 4 years, he went from not knowing how to use the Force to being strong enough to defeat Kylo Ren. And then defeat the Emperor.
Yep. I would have believed it more if Kylo was the one, because he had more training, but no.
Right. Yeah, so it's not a knock on her as an actress or anything. It's a knock on the way the character was written.
Yeah, the writing was terrible.
And then the laziness of when they had the black chick on the Endor moon, and Lando asking her, who do you know your father? Like, come on, out of all the black people's face, like, can you really, like, that was like an insult to me when I was sitting there and I heard that. I was like, are y'all serious right now?
Yeah, they super, super serious.
Like, you gonna ask do she know who her father is? Like, really? Out of all the people in space, it might be Lando. Kind of, never mind.
All right, y'all, that's it for this video. We'll see you, well, that's it for this podcast episode. We'll see you on the next episode. This podcast is on Fanbase Plus and YouTube, and I appreciate you all coming through here. If you have any questions or anything about Fanbase, I'm available. You can DM me on Fanbase, or you can DM me on Instagram. And also, go ahead and download the app and go and join us on here. And if you want to have any type of conversation or whatever, I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments below. So you all have a great day, and thank you for watching.